It had been a year since our beloved husky, Koda, ran away from home. The days without him were filled with emptiness and sorrow. We searched tirelessly, put up posters, and held on to hope that he would one day return. But as time passed, our hope dwindled, and we reluctantly accepted the painful truth that we might never see him again. Then, one stormy evening, a deafening knock echoed through the house. My heart skipped a beat as I rushed to the door. There, standing in the downpour, was Koda, bedraggled, soaked, but unmistakably our Koda. Ecstatic joy filled our home as we welcomed him back with open arms. His return was a miracle we had longed for, and we showered him with affection, grateful to have him back in our lives. But as the days went by, we began to notice peculiar changes in our beloved Koda. The once warm, bright eyes now held an unsettling gleam, and there was an air of eeriness around him. We attributed it to his time away, assuming he had endured hardships that changed him. One evening, as we sat in the living room, Koda stared into the distance with an intensity that sent chills down our spines. His gaze was fixed on something we couldn't see, and a low growl rumbled from deep within him. We tried to brush it off, thinking he might have heard a distant noise. However, as days turned into weeks, Koda's behavior grew more and more bizarre. He would often vanish at night, only to return in the morning with leaves and dirt in his fur. He became distant, avoiding our touch, and growling at us when we approached him. Worse yet, strange occurrences began to happen around the house. Objects moved on their own, lights flickered, and the air turned icy cold at random intervals. We couldn't deny that an ominous presence had taken residence alongside Koda's return. One night, as I lay awake in bed, I heard a haunting whisper in the darkness. It was a voice I couldn't recognize, filled with anguish and malice. My heart pounded as I realized that the voice seemed to be coming from Koda. He was howling, but the sound carried a haunting melody that sent shivers down my spine. Alarmed, I woke my family, and we gathered in the living room, where Koda stood, his eyes fixed on the wall. The air felt thick with malevolence, and we knew something was terribly wrong. My sister reached out to touch Koda, but he recoiled, baring his teeth in a vicious snarl. Tears streamed down my mother's face as she sobbed, "This isn't our Koda. He's been possessed by something evil." We agreed that we couldn't let this entity control our beloved pet. Together, we sought the help of a local paranormal expert, Mr. Bennett. Upon examining Koda, Mr. Bennett confirmed our worst fears. Our beloved husky had become a vessel for a malevolent spirit. The entity saw an opportunity to return to the living world through Koda's vulnerable soul, Mr. Bennett explained. It's feeding off the life force of the innocent to regain its strength. Determined to save Koda, we followed Mr. Bennett's guidance, performing ancient rituals in an attempt to free him from the entity's grasp. But as we chanted and lit incense, Koda's eyes glowed with an unearthly fire, and he lunged at us, his growl now echoing with a haunting resonance. We had underestimated the strength of the malevolent spirit that had taken hold of Koda. As the ritual continued, the entity fought back with a ferocity that overwhelmed us. It was as if it sensed our plan and was determined to maintain its newfound existence. In our desperation, we called upon the aid of a renowned exorcist. Father Michael arrived with a powerful aura of strength and faith. He prayed fervently, commanding the malevolent entity to release its grip on Koda's soul. At first, it seemed like Father Michael's prayers were working. Koda's demonic eyes softened, and for a moment, we dared to hope that he was saved. But just as quickly, the entity retaliated, unleashing a terrifying scream that filled the room. "Get out of this vessel!" Father Michael thundered, brandishing a cross in front of Koda. The entity roared in defiance, but the power of Father Michael's faith was unyielding. It fought to maintain control over Koda's body, but in the end, it could not withstand the strength of a higher power. With one last deafening howl, the malevolent spirit was expelled from Koda, leaving him collapsed and exhausted on the floor. We rushed to our dear companion, relieved to see his eyes returning to their familiar warmth. Koda's return to us had been a blessing. but it came with a curse we could never have anticipated. As the sun rose that morning, we knew that we had faced a darkness few could comprehend. The haunting memories of those days lingered, reminding us that even the purest love could be tainted by the malevolence that lurks in the shadows. But with Koda safe in our arms once more, we vowed to cherish every moment and protect him from any darkness that dared to return.